Yeah, I don't have it either. Oh.
Please be seated. Good morning. How is everyone this morning? Good. Good. Welcome. Thank you for coming out this morning so that we can worship together. My name is Debbie Gentry, and Janen, Wright, and I will be your worship associates today. We are the Namakwa Universalist Unitarian congregation, and no matter who you are, what your faith, or who you love, you are welcome here. And we are very glad to have you. By the show of hands, do we have any visitors here this morning? All right. Woo! A special warm welcome to you. And if you would like to know more about what we are up to, you can sign up for our communications in the back table. And thank you so much for being here. We're really glad you're here. All right. The visit schedule to and I'm looking up there to see if we're on track here. The visit schedule to the Pine Ridge Reservation has been canceled. It was scheduled, but the TP raisers have informed us that there is instability on the reservation. We've been following this closely and ultimately had to make the call to cancel it, as the safety of the staff, the volunteers, and community members is a priority. The Columbine UU Church in Littleton has asked for our help with their effort to provide food and supplies to the 4,000 immigrants who are being put out onto the streets with no place to stay. They're asking for donations of gently used, clean winter wear, jackets, scarves, hats, socks, boots for men, women, and children. Donations will be collected in the sanctuary and the social hall. Donations of money to offset their food and supply costs are also greatly appreciated. Please join us for our 2024 Pledge Drive kickoff on March 3rd with Dick Barton, Pledge Drive Chair, Worship Associate Doug Stewart, Music Director Ryan Marble, and our Namakwa Choir. This year's theme, Together We Climb, is a celebration of how our beloved community can achieve greater heights together by lifting each other up on this journey of life. As the African proverb reminds us, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Reverend Dana has invited Reverend Laurel Leifert and Dr. Claire Hamore to join us on Sunday, June 16th for the service, followed by a picnic celebration at Kathy Hartman's house a couple of blocks away. Come help us welcome our friends back and hear how they are doing as we move on with their lives, as they move on with their lives and we move on with ours. Many thanks to those who will speak to us today and everyone who is involved in today's ceremony. Oh, wait a minute. Hey, we've got a visitor here today. I believe it's the wandering auctioneer.
I want your attention, okay? I'm the wandering auctioneer, and I want you to remember April 20th, down at the Chalice Center, we're having an auction, okay? Now, let me be very upfront with you. I am a grifter, a real grifter. I want your money. But unlike a lot of the mega grifters that we've got going around here, I'm not asking for your vote. But anyway, I want you to know that I'm going to be over here during the coffee hour for the next couple of weeks to give you an idea of some of the things that you can donate that will make some money for this congregation. I love the way you guys have started redecorating, putting all this beautiful new stuff up here in the alcove. So anyway, I'm going to be around and I'm looking for you. And if I have to persuade you, I've got 2 options here. So be aware.
The Chalice light?
Okay, so I'll tell you why later, but I don't think a quote has ever struck me as hard as the one by Howard Thurman that says, "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it." Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. As you all know, we live in a world of distraction. Not destruction, but distraction. A world that bombards us with more stimulus than our brains are wired to deal with. As a result, it's easy to live on automatic, on autopilot, and spend large chunks of our life in trance. Thoreau said most people live lives of quiet desperation and go to the grave with their song still in them. Can you think of anything sadder? Someone else said, "Don't be afraid to die. Be afraid of the unlived life." It's easy to do. Pema Chodron, a Buddhist monk, said, "As humans, we should never underestimate our inability to feel discomfort. We have many ways to ward off discomfort, many ways to numb out. We turn to mindless entertainment. We get very, 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 very busy. This is a very popular one in our Western culture. We turn to addictions that are comforting, food or alcohol, or trying to buy happiness, trying to acquire things to fill us up. But the good news is that as long as we are alive, we can choose to wake up. And if we're awake, we can choose to wake up more and more often. This has to do, of course, with living more deliberately. We can decide that our lives really do matter, and that being awake and present for our life matters. The word Buddha means one who is awake, or the awakened one. And we all have the seeds of Buddha in us. We can all be a Buddha. This idea of waking up, of living on a higher level of consciousness, of understanding how our brain serves us, and also how it enslaves us, just absolutely fascinates me. As it does a third of the population of humankind in, thousands of years of Hinduism and Buddhism and all the sects that are about waking up. I believe, as Emerson said, what lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared with what lies within us. We can wake the sleeping tiger. We can. Each of us has a higher self that we can tap into to help us come alive and know what is required to live our best lives. As Buddhism teaches, I believe that our deepest desire, when all is said and done, is to manifest our higher selves, to manifest our divinity. My experience has shown me that to become more of what we truly are is where we find ultimate peace and satisfaction. So today, this is what we're going to explore, what it means to come alive.
The following is a quote from Mark Nepo, who reminds us that coming alive to our own passionate responses to life will shine a light on how best we can bring our own gifts to the world. When the concert master asks the oboist to sound an A, at first there is chaos and noise as all the parts of the orchestra try to align themselves with that note. That is how it feels to me. Somewhere deep inside, there's a sound all my own, and I struggle daily to hear it and attune my life to it. Sometimes there are people and situations that help me hear my note more clearly. Other things make it harder to hear. A lot depends on my commitment to listening and my intention to stay coherent with this note. It is only when my life is tuned to my note that I can play life's mysterious and holy music without tainting it with my own discordance, agenda, and fears. Please join me in saying our affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its call.
This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace,
to speak the truth in love, and to help one another. Please rise in either body or spirit as we sing hymn number 347, Gather the Spirit.
Here today, but this is a very wise Buddhist wisdom tale that we can all learn from. Sometimes the most profound truths are the most simple. So I've got my prop. This story is called The Elephant, the Monkey, and the Owl. There you go. Standing in the middle. Anyway, you. Okay, so this story is the elephant and the monkey were good friends. But one day they got all full of himself and he thought he was better and fast and athletic. And the elephant was big and tough and strong. So they go to the eagle and ask which
I got it all the way up. It's not very loud. I made it get my
I want
computer so you can hear it better.
fruit from the top of that tree and bring it back to me. So they go to the river. Of course, the monkey can't cross the river. It's a raging river. But the elephant goes right across. He goes to the tree and he reaches up high, but the fruit's too high. He can't reach it. So he tries to shake the tree. Doesn't work. The tree's really thick. So he goes back. The monkey gets on his back. They go back across the river. The monkey scrambles up the tree and grabs the fruit and gets back on the elephant's back, and they take it to the eagle. And then they said, okay, so who's better? And what do you think the eagle said? Yeah, or neither of you. Both or neither. Let me see what he said. Both of you. One of you is not better than the rest or the next. You both have your own strengths and your own weaknesses. He said, together you have achieved what would have been impossible for either one of you alone. And that's how we are too, right? We're good at some things and not so good at others. And that's why we do better when we know our strengths and we all work together. So that's the wisdom story from Buddhism. And let's sing does she want to go to RE? It's going to be a lot of fun back there. So let's go ahead and make a bridge and sing her to class, Evelyn. Sing Evelyn to class. Thank you for your help.
Man, what a good dad doing that story.
That was awesome.
Wow. So to be human is to know both joy and sorrow. This morning, let's take a few minutes to turn to your neighbor, greet them, and then share with them a current joy or sorrow that you have in your life right now. If you're on Zoom, feel free to write in the chat box in order to share your joy or sorrows with each other. Shall we do that for a moment? Please turn to your neighbor. I have no idea how long.
That's okay. So the meditation after this. Meditation and then the speakers.
What?
We're doing good. The meditation and then it's okay if we get over.
They're really getting into it.
It's good to make that connection, but apparently introverts like hate.
I know.
So you don't want people not to come because it could be so uncomfortable for some people. But it's really good to make the connection.
know how to stop it, do you?
We'll just have the music on. We'll just start slow. If whoever's doing the slide isn't moving now,
I know.
so I hope people are. We should say the numbers so they can look it up in their book.
Oh, okay.
And if it says like verses 1 and 3, say that too, so they can look it up because they're not moving.
Okay.
It's probably.
Yep. Please. I'm gonna. Please stand and join us in singing hymn 108, My Life Flows On, an Endless Song, verses 1 and 3. Please be seated. Let's now enter together into a space of meditation. Pay attention to your body sitting on the chair. Please close your eyes if you're comfortable in doing so. If not, keep your eyes open with a soft gaze downward. Connect yourself to this moment by taking a deep breath in and exhaling, remembering that breath is the force of life and can only be experienced right now in the present. In this meditative mindset, think on these words. Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, and go out and do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. Let the words of this quote sit with you for a few moments as you become aware of what sensations and feelings these words bring up in you. Ask yourself, when do I feel most vivid, most energized, most engaged? Our passionate responses to life, the things we truly care about, are like a string of lights in the darkness that can guide us home to our true selves, to a life of deeper meaning, to what it is that we have to give the world. These lights that shine in the darkness and show our way are our talents, perspectives, experiences, gifts that long to be expressed through us to the world. What makes you come alive? What truly makes you come alive? And what can you do with that? Return to this question again and again throughout the coming week and let it light your way. And now, please open your eyes and return to the room.
And now sharing our stories. I think there's basically three ways that we can look at when it comes to what makes us come alive. We can practice being awake to the present moment, which happens to be the only moment that we can be alive, right? Usually our thoughts are in the past with regret, or in the future with worry, or just nexting. We're good at nexting instead of actually being here with the person in front of you, or here with our food, or here in any way. We can be where we're at, alive in the moment. So that's a big one. Another one is we can wake up to who we truly are. That's a big one. So we don't go living someone else's life, but live our own. And three, we can wake up to what we truly love. Oh, do you want me to use this one?
Or let's see if you just turn the green light on.
I'm sorry. Did y'all hear me? Maybe I'll set it right here. Thanks, Doug. Now that's better. Okay, so we can wake up to who it is we truly are, and three, we can wake up to what we truly love, which can be a spark that lights our pilot light. I shared this story with our speakers. I love it. But I had a friend who was just one of the most with it, accomplished. She owned her own business, just everything kind of person. And she shared with me that she hit rock bottom, which just floored me. If you knew this lady, you'd be floored too, because she got a divorce. She lost custody of her kids. She was in and out of prison for stealing and selling drugs. And then she got out of prison and She started running to help with her anxiety level. And I tell you what, in running, she met a new side of herself that she never knew was there. She never knew it was there. A side that was capable and strong and fierce and determined. And so she attributes all the achievements of her second half of life to running. A power that she found on the track, but she took out into the world with her. That's just fascinating to me. Another friend found a direct conduit to the spiritual when he signed up to work at the humane shelter, to work with orphan dogs. He turned into a different person before our eyes. It was crazy to witness the change in him for having that outlet, right? Something just ignited in him that woke him up, and he knew why he was, here. So both of those experiences were so awesome to behold. Today, we have 4 members who have kindly agreed to share with us their own story of what it means to them to come alive. So thank you to them in advance. And we'll first hear from Sue Mathews, then Karen Roper, Carole Barton, and Clay Roper in that order. Yeah, if you put your mouth right up by it.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Morning.
Good. Well, I've been asked to tell you what makes me come alive. So seeing as how you're all my best friends, I'm going to tell you my story. Back in 1983, I was living in Oklahoma in a marriage that was suffocating me. I had 2 small children and no formal education. I had worked to pay our bills with minimum wages and to support my husband through 2 of his college degrees. We accepted food stamps and I learned how to stretch $1. I felt sure that if I didn't find a way to break loose from that emotionally challenging relationship, that something inside of me would die forever. How could I make it on my own with 2 kids? My family wasn't wealthy and there was no one to help me but myself. I decided that it was time to try my hand at college. I was sure that I probably wasn't capable enough to pass the demands of the academic life while caring for my children and keeping up the house. I had always thought that nursing was a noble profession, but it seemed unattainable to me. I had to convince the dean of the university to give me a trial due to the fact that my high school grades and SAT scores Can I bring it to me? How's that? Okay. Okay, good. Okay. Let's get back to my horrible SAT scores. When they were terrible. I was never in a family that valued academia, let's just say. And I just thought, why try? Why even try? So no one was more surprised by my accomplishments. Initially, my 3-year plan, let's get back to SAT scores. I surprised myself. Not only did I consistently stay on the dean's honor roll, but I became the president of my nursing class. No one was more surprised than me by my accomplishments. Initially, my 3-year plan was to free myself from my unhappy existence. My husband had no idea of my motivation. I did finally graduate with a registered nursing degree, but that sense of accomplishment was only the tip of the extreme satisfaction that I felt. I had done the work, cared for my children, and become a capable member of that noble profession that has given me so much joy. And I was able to separate from my husband, buy my own house, all on my own. My sense of self was finally actualized. I am not trying to glamorize the journey that I took. It was hard and pretty scary at times. I felt that I had finally come alive and found my true purpose in life. I had so many amazing experiences with my patients, and each one of them has enriched my life immensely, the negative as well as the positive. I have found that I love to help people, after, some of you know, and yell at me for it. After my retirement, I have found great joy driving disabled folks for Saint, volunteering at the food bank, volunteering at Thompson Valley High School school system, and the community kitchen, to name a few. Being a nurse deepened and opened me to the needs of people. Sorry. Every once in a while, I think of writing my ex-husband a thank you note for making me so unhappy. I really do. If you hadn't been such an a-hole, I wouldn't be a nurse. True story. I didn't want to go through all of that work, but it provided me the motivation to find out who I really was and how I fit into the world. And that is how I came alive.
Oh, thank you, Sue.
Good morning. As you know, I'm Karen Roper. The theme for this, at least the first couple, is nursing or caregiving. I've been a caregiver all my life. I was a nurse for 43 years, and I cared for my family. I've moved to different places to help with my family members at various times in my life. I think this was just part of who I am, but also the religious belief system in which I was raised had a belief called joy: Jesus, others, yourself. As a result of this, I was always made to feel it was unforgivable if I were to think of myself first. Having been raised a Southern Baptist, I definitely felt I was in a religion, but never felt a sense of spirituality. It was more just following the rules to reach the ultimate goal of going to heaven. I've suffered from depression all of my life, at least as long as I can remember. I've been on various antidepressants. Some of them worked for a while and then would quit helping. I finally found a combination of meds that did help. I also had tried counseling at different times, but just never really found anybody that clicked. I finally, a couple of years ago, I reached a point where I knew I needed help. Although my meds were helping somewhat, when I knew I had to get that help. I had nothing but negative thoughts about myself and was unable to get out of the cycle of negativity. I reached out to a counselor and hit the jackpot. It was through my time with her that I realized that in addition to other matters, I did have the right to make decisions concerning myself and not just the needs of others. As a result of this realization, I made the decision to move to Loveland to be with Clay. It wasn't because there was a need for me to be here, but because I wanted to be here. As a result of being here, I came to attend Namakwa, which Clay had been attending for a while. It was when I began attending Namakwa and learning about the beliefs that defined you that I finally began to feel spiritually alive.
No, probably not. No. Thank you. You just kept growing and growing. What makes me come alive? There are many things that come to mind when I think about that question. Family, watercolor painting, being in nature, being in the mountains, travel, being a grandparent. But the most enduring thing in my life that makes me come alive is children. It matters not if they are crying newborns, sassy toddlers, elementary children who are learning how to be more self-sufficient, middle schoolers who are struggling to fit in with their peers, or high school kids who are grappling with serious life choices. Dick and I are fortunate to have two wonderful children of our own. Guiding them through the stages of childhood was a joy and a privilege. As I look back on those years, I believe that those were the happiest years of my life. I loved and continue to love being a parent. Almost 14 years ago, we had the joy of witnessing the birth of our first grandchild, Marin. And a few years later, along came Jackson. Being present for the birth of a child is an amazing and thrilling experience. And by the way, it's a lot more pleasant when you're not the one delivering.
Yeah.
And being their grandmother has been very rewarding, satisfying, and just plain fun. But I also had the privilege of working with hundreds of children in two of our elementary schools and also at Loveland High School. The other thing that makes me come alive is the process of counseling. Blend that in with children and I am totally present and totally happy. I love getting to know kids of all ages and being available to them when they are trying to figure something out, solve a personal problem, navigate friendships, plan for their futures, listen when their hearts are broken, and make amends with teachers or parents. The variety in my job as a counselor seemed boundless, and I loved it. The excitement and challenge of helping a student and parent truly communicate with each other was often mine. I can remember sitting in my office after a parent and teen left. They were laughing and happy, and I was feeling profoundly blessed to have had that opportunity to use my skills to help them reconnect. My favorite time spent with children is when they have a problem and they don't know what to do about it. Through deep listening, reflection, and occasional questions from me, they could usually decide for themselves how to solve their own problem. This was a source of great happiness and satisfaction for me. Now that I am retired, my regular contact with kids is our two grandchildren. Being with them makes me come alive now. I have been one of those fortunate people who has been able to do that which makes me come alive.
Hello. This question comes at a particularly resonant time for me. Over the holidays, Caitlin and I enjoyed a very welcome break from work, during which we took advantage of a broader perspective to reflect on our past year and set intentions for this one. One thing that became very clear for me was the degree to which my work is neither properly serving nor nourishing me. On my return, I set myself the task of feeling what it's like to do my job, a task made easier by the contrasting 2-week hiatus. Almost immediately, my nervous system made it clear what impact my work is having on me. The nearly constant sense of stress and frustration, leaving me emotionally and mentally drained on most days, mixed with the acknowledgement that what I do with my time is not purpose-driven and only serves to put money in the bank. I began a series of exercises to clarify for myself what an aligned, balanced, and most importantly, integrated life looks like, or what it feels like. I've kept my work separate from the rest of my life in a way that feels ultimately unfulfilling. These exercises involved envisioning my ideal life in various ways, and in this process, I realized that what calls to me is a life of connection, where all the aspects of my life feed each other, including my work. I decided to imagine my ideal week as a way to place a goal, no matter how far flung, in front of myself. In this week, I see myself spending a couple of days in sessions with therapy clients, spending another couple of days writing, and filling the rest of my time with family and in nature and volunteering in service to community. When I saw this, rather, when I felt this, I was filled with a powerful sense of recognition and wellness and longing. I saw how these facets of my life could interpenetrate each other like roots of trees in a vibrant forest, commingling to share nourishment and mycorrhizal support. The possibility of this nourishment, this connection, this acknowledgement of purpose in work has awakened something in me, offering me a renewal that is so vital and real. This is what makes me come more fully alive. Now it's time to go and do it.
Wow. Thank you, Sue, Carole, Clay, Karen. Thank you all. So wonderful to hear your stories. So powerful. I love that about Namakwa. We are a congregation who allows vulnerability, who allows our true stories to come out. And I am so grateful to be a part of that. Thank you. I'm not going to do this. Not appropriate. Each week we support the work of this congregation in all the ways we live our values in the world through your generosity. In addition to supporting this church, half of your donations support a local nonprofit organization, helping us to make a difference beyond our walls. Today, half of our plate will support Heart and Soul of Loveland. This local nonprofit, which is made up of Black, Indigenous, people of color, and allies, works to promote ethnic and cultural diversity in the Loveland community. Their goal is to support, celebrate, and embrace cultural richness for our community. Heart and Soul organizes many community events as well throughout the year. Please give generously.
Beautiful slip. Thank you. Before his death, Rabbi Susa said, "In the coming world, they will not ask me, 'Why were you not Moses?' or 'Why were you not Abraham?' They will ask me, 'Why were you not Susa?'" I think that's very powerful. An important part of coming alive is knowing who we are and spending most of our time in being who we are, right? Like our friends shared with us today. Although I knew I had found my church family when I first walked through the doors of a UU church, it took me a while to find my place in that family. I came from a very orthodox, it was my whole life, inward turned church, right? So the first thing that impressed me about UUs is how world aware you all are. Because UUs are not consumed by the demands of a theology that is focused on spreading the gospel throughout the entire world. We're free to look outward, not inward, right? Also, UUs don't have the comforting belief that in the end, God is going to return and make everything okay. Really, on the rare occasions that my extended family or my husband's extended family talk about world problems, somebody will always say, whatever, the second coming of Jesus is right around the corner, so we don't have to be worrying about this. That's their answer to everything. This is where I came out of, see. So the first thing I was very aware of when I found UUism, which was the first church that wasn't totally Christian that I had found, is that there is no worthy cause that someone wasn't ready to rally the troops and take on. Climate change, hunger in Africa, immigration, prison reform, gun control, responsible consumption, corruption in local, state, and world politics, were just the tip of the iceberg. All worthy causes, but seriously, confession time. All these focuses of my new church left me with a feeling of heavy despair. And also the fear, of course, that maybe I really didn't belong, which was very scary because I knew I didn't belong anywhere else by that point. And I wanted to belong somewhere. I did. I was so sick of traveling the wilderness and not having a home. So, but do you want to go to church and have all the life force sucked out of you? I mean, it was a thing, There was one lady in particular, I'll call her Marianne, who is a very intelligent, well-informed, and angry lady because of the state of the world. And since I was new, I was her new sounding board, and she talked to me all the time. And I could commiserate with her pain, but also I didn't want to end up like that. I didn't want to be that, So I had to face it. As much as I wanted to fit into my new circle, I'm not a warrior at heart, even for justice. My husband and grown sons, I swear, can wade through neck deep in all the corruption and broken systems in the world and show up at the dinner table with hearty appetites and high spirits, but I am not cut from the same cloth. They're elephants, I'm a monkey, or something. And seriously, it was finding UUism that brought this into the light. I didn't actually know that about myself until I was in that circle, right? And of course, I can write letters to my congressman. I can attend any number of meetings and marches, and sometimes I do. But I felt in my heart that that's not really what I'm here for. So, what are you here for? I asked myself. Well, I've always known myself to be a nurturer. As a child, my highest aspiration was to be a mother. And I wasn't wrong that role held sublime satisfaction for me. Getting to be a full-time mom and raising our 5 kids, me and my husband, was, really my dream come true. It actually did come true, So mom is the role I'm here for. Mom is what makes me come alive, like Carole said. It was in this time of struggle, trying to find my place, that I came across this quote that we're talking about today. That's why it was so powerful. It just came at the right time. Don't ask what the world needs. Don't ask what UUs need. Ask what makes you come alive, right? There's also one that you'll recognize from Frederick Buckner that meant a lot to me. The place Spirit calls you to is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. Creating love, security, and home is always where my gladness and the world's need has met for me. Fortunately, in those early years of being UU and struggling to figure out if I could fit in or not, I had the opportunity to attend a week-long leadership school here in Colorado, actually. The leader of our covenant group was a lady named Sarah. And she was the most loving person that I've ever crossed paths with. Seriously. She gave off warmth like a hot iron stove. You didn't even know how cold you were until you stood next to her. It was crazy. And the first words out of her mouth, which was a blessing to me, was that it took some time for her to find her place in UUism because she isn't the least bit politically minded. But here she was. And she was a highlight of that leadership school for me. So I found in her a model that I could really hold up, and I just wanted to be just like her. That's what appealed to me. So I came to know that if I wanted to make a difference, I wish I hadn't spilt my water. If I wanted to make a difference in the short time I have on this earth, I had to free myself of the guilt of not being a justice warrior. And most of our problems are in our own heads, and so the solutions are in our own heads as well. So I'm not saying that this was actually this is just how it appealed. That's just how it struck me, that everybody else were justice warriors but myself in this group. That's just, now that I know that there's more variety, but that was the initial culture shock that I came into. So I came to know if I wanted to make a difference, I had to free myself of the guilt of not being a justice warrior and allow myself to do what it was that I was made to do. Edward Everett. I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do. This became my mantra. I decided I would do what I could do, give what I had to give, and not waste time wishing I were somehow different. Ironically, as soon as I accepted myself for what I am, ways to be more world-minded started opening up to me. I couldn't be about every just cause. I couldn't even think about it or I'd get overwhelmed. But I could decide what was important to me and contribute to that. So I was teaching aerobics at the time, and I decided I was going to give all my instructor money to a worthy cause that speaks to my heart. And as a maker and lover of food, I have a heart for people that don't have enough food. So I sincerely loved working out with my class and knowing that all the sweat and blood that we were experiencing, thank you. Oh, thank you. Would not only make us healthier, but serve those that don't have enough to eat. It was very meaningful to me. And anyway, I won't go there. I also agreed to be president of the board, and I loved mothering that group. It seemed they required a lot of soup and cake, because we met at 5 o'clock before they went home from work. So anyway, I found ways that I could show up and be useful. And I also made it a point to look out for newcomers that might not fit the typical UU mold. And I do that to this day. And I do think we have a UU mold. To this day, I do. Right? 20 years later. But I really do want everyone who walks through our doors to know we need whatever it is they are. What if, amazing people come and go without realizing that UUism could be a fit for them? In closing, somebody has to tend to the home front. Keep the fires burning. Watch out for the kids. You know, care for the weary brave when y'all come back from your battles. That's where you'll find me. I love being a member of this church. Like Debbie said, it's so wonderful to just speak your truth and hear other truths, and that doesn't happen, in my experience, anywhere else. That we can just show up, we can bring all of us into this space and be who we are. It's just such a blessing. This church challenges me, it inspires me, and it has allowed me to meet so many great people with which to share my life, which is not a small thing at all. We need all our individual stories, all our individual strengths. We need whatever it is that you are, whatever it is you care about. Our church is made up of its people and what its people care about, right? Who its people are. That's why every UU church has a different flavor, because we are just made up of who attends to a large degree. So my prayer is, may we all wake up to being more of whoever it is we are. And may we live while we're alive. Blessings and amen.
Please stand. Please be seated. From Scott Stable. One of the most powerful gifts you can give the world is your willingness to be yourself. Live your truth with love and confidence, and you'll inspire others to live theirs as well. You are beautiful just as you are. Thank you. Please join us for coffee and conversation. Peter?
About a year ago, I came and I offered some of these. Anyways, I'll have some more.
Thank you.
Can you repeat what he said?
Thank you, Peter.
Repeat what he said, we couldn't hear it.
Yes, he has
I'm sorry, I said I have more.
some containers.
We just can't hear you, your voice is loud.
Can you hear me now?
You want to, Peter? You want to come up here and use the microphone? That would probably be the best thing.
Sort of embarrassing that I'm up here talking about plastic pipe. But I have a few more, and I'll bring them into Parker Hall, and if anybody wants them, they can have them, and I have some more, so don't hesitate to take as many as you want, because I'll come back in a few weeks with another batch. You might pay for ice cream.
Thank you. And please join us for coffee and conversation in the fellowship hall behind the sanctuary. Thank you. Do we go back there? Do we go down?
I was supposed to go. I never do. We can, do you want to?
I just wanted to tell you what a wonderful job you did.
Oh,
Yes, you did. I enjoyed it so much.
thank you
Hopefully
so
you'll do
much.
it again for us.
Isn't she?
I'm gonna
She's a
try.
natural,
Oh,
right?
she
Thank
is.
you.
Oh, thank